Hi everyone, I'm Heiken, and this is a little video series about the TUNIC any person speedrun and how to do it, how to set it up, and how to run it. The first video is going to be a little bit of explanation about how I do stuff and how I practice and how I have set things up. A thing you want to start doing as soon as possible is install the Debug mod by Ori. If you go on speedrun.com, the TUNIC page, in the guides, you have a little guide by Ori to set everything up. I'm not gonna do a video installation of this because I already have set it up, but the explanation should be pretty straightforward, and if you have any questions, you can always ask in the Discord server. You can join the Discord server by clicking this little Discord icon there. There's always people active and answering the questions, no matter what you're asking for. So that's gonna be the first step. What it's gonna do in the TUNIC, in your TUNIC folder, so program files, Steam apps, command TUNIC, you're going to have a DLL then named win.http.dll. To practice, you want it to have this name exactly so that the modes are active. And to do runs, you need to run on vanilla, so no mods active. So you can, for instance, just rename it, whatever the name you give it. So I have scripts that automatically do this for me. So if I want to activate the mods, I just click this one. And if I want to deactivate it, I just click this one. All right, that's for the installation of the debug mode. It's very useful for practicing stuff. Another quick note that you also can see here is a little discussion about the frame rate by Ori again. So the game has the physics kind of differs from one frame rate to another. So we have forced for the submission on the leaderboards either 60 FPS or 120 FPS. The overall like consensus is that 120 FPS, 120 hertz is better because it makes you run a little bit faster. And there's also one trick in the run that is easier on 120 FPS. Some other trick are like more consistent as 60 FPS, but nothing is way harder in 120. So you want to run in 120 FPS. However, to do this, you need a 120 hertz monitor, and that's like the big bummer about the game state right now, is that you kind of have to have a 120 hertz monitor to run at 120 FPS and have the fastest time possible that you can have on the boot. The run is still doable at 60 FPS, and if you want to start learning it, it's definitely viable, but you're not going to get quite as fast times. I think the difference was about 15 to 20 seconds, if I recall correctly. This tutorial, I'm going to do it specifically for 120 FPS. There's not that much that change, but I will try to mention it when it happens, but I will do everything on 120 FPS like I'm used to. Okay. Now, if you go to Steam, you can... I will talk a little bit about bindings. I need to start the game too. So this game is better played on controller because you have analog movement, basically. That's the main thing. However, you will also need to play a little bit with your keyboards. I'm gonna lower the game sound a little bit so you can still hear me. Sorry for that. Okay. So I'm gonna go over my bindings. So bindings are really a preference thing. Do whatever you're comfortable with. However, there is some things that are nice to have no matter what you do. So, okay, I will go over the bindings in in-game, the in-game bindings, sorry, if I can find them. Okay. Things that I have, I basically have the standard layout for gamepad, except I have a little tiny optimization that's really not necessary. No one pretty much does it. I just started playing with it. It might be a little bit faster, but it's really minor. is that, sorry, it's up there. I have interact dodge instead of having it on, wait, why doesn't it press? It's fine. Instead of having it, sorry, on X on my, oh wait, why is that not the layout showing? Sorry, there we go. Sorry. So you see me pressing stuff on my controller. Instead of having it on X, I have it on this button, which is useless, which I never press. But that lets me have interact dodge, the keyboard's interact dodge on keyboard bound to my controller button. I will try to explain it. I'm probably not gonna do a good job because sometimes it gets messy. It's really minor. Just ignore it to start runs. It's like a tiny difference. I will explain it why it's a little bit better afterwards. But I basically have the default settings. However, what I do have is on Steam. You can do it on also on Joy2Key or any software, but I use the Steam thingy. You can, sorry for the French text, but you probably have something similar here, like controller configuration. You just update the configuration. So okay, what I have, I forgot to talk about the keyboard layouts. What you want to do is have item 1 and item 2 on the same button, on the same key on your keyboard. It's really useful to do something that I will explain. Item 3, you need to like write down what letter you have it bound to. It really doesn't really matter which one. And also, you kind of want to have interact dodge on numpad 0. It's gonna be important because, so one thing that is nice to be able to do is inputting codes while running. And the best way to do this, it's gonna be useful at a couple places in the run, is to press numpad 0, which is gonna be roll. So by being roll, it's also running basically. And with your pinky, with your right pinky finger, and then tap the codes on the arrow keys on your keyboard with the same hands. So that you can still move around the joystick on your controller. So for now, just put interact. If you want to do the same kind of layouts as me, just put interact / dodge on numpad 0. The two item is going to be K for me on the same key. And write down this one. And that's everything that matters, I think. Yeah. So that's it for the in-game bindings. And then for this, there we go. So on the button, so I have this the X key on the numpad 02. This is the little optimization that's not really necessary at all, but it lets me use it. Lets me use the keyboard roll, which is a little bit better than the normal roll, the controller roll, for a cause that I don't really understand, but it is. It allows you to buffer stuff out of the transitions, basically. And then what I have set up too is that where is it actually? Where is my other? Okay, that's the one. Okay, so the R2 trigger is gonna be on K. So have a button, no matter what the button, have a button from your controller on the K key, or the key that you put to be item 1 and item 2 on keyboard. So for me, it's just R2. And then also on the sticks, I have on same, you need a button for this. This is very useful. On the same button, so for me, it's just the joystick, the right joystick click, is gonna be both numpad 0 and whatever your item 3 is in game on keyboard. So for me, it's the X key, the one that I told you to write down, basically, the one that's bound to item 3. This is useful for a bunch of stuff, and like really like mostly for a trick called the ladder storage that I will explain to you. Blah blah blah. I think that's it. Also, another thing that I've done is put where is it again? This I put on start because I don't really use this button. The or run button is, I think, like the Flask, but we don't use Flask in any person, so I bound it to start because it's more accessible to me for the pause menu. But it's really like a preference. Like I said, I'm gonna sum it up a little bit. You can put whatever like control input layouts that you want. Just find something you're comfortable with. But things that are nice to have is one button, like in addition to the standard inputs, one button that is bound to whatever key is bound to item 1 and item 2 in game, and a button that is bound to numpad 0 and whatever key is bound to item 3 in game. And that should be about it. For me, it's gonna be if I have let me put the gamepad layout again. Whenever you're gonna see, I'm gonna do the tutorial videos on the run itself with the input layouts on. So whatever you see me press this, my left joystick is gonna be this input, so numpad 0 and item 3. And when I do this, the R2 trigger is gonna be item 1 and item 2. So that's it, I think, for the setup. You can start playing a little bit with the game. If I can interact, thank you. Let me just put also a small note. If you have correctly installed the debug mode, you're gonna be able to see the cursor. You see it on the screen, and if you press F4, you are gonna see. Wait, I forgot about something. Alongside with the debug mode, if you go to the resources, I have a save pack that I put on the save parts of the resources. You want to download this, and then you put its content inside the. So you have this saves. That's the saves of the game. They are in app data, local low, Andrew Shoulders, Secret Legend saves. So that's all your saves in game. So if you haven't figured that out, that's where they are. You want to create, parallel to this, you want to create a states all caps folder, and you are gonna put the content of this inside. So this is all my save state that I use to practice, and that I like, that I use to practice basically. It's gonna let you load the different parts of the run. So you want to do this, it goes from the beginning to the here fight. It has 26 like segments that you can practice individually. There's other like useful keys that you can read about here in the debug mode. The controls, mostly control left mouse is useful to teleport quickly instead of having to run by yourself. So F4 is what I told, like the save states button to load, to be able to load this, every one of this. And oh, sorry, I wasn't showing it's fine. I wasn't showing this this page, but the controls are here. On the debug mode by Ari guide on SRC. So play around with everything, load a random save state. For instance, let's say Forest Boss is fine, is the one I'm already. No, maybe one with more mana, so you can play a little bit. So what you want to be able to do to make sure that you have your controls correctly is first of all, you still need, of course, to be able to input every item individually. You want to be able to roll. You want to be able to open your menu, to pause, to target stuff. And so the two... I forgot something else again. This is the most scuffed tutorial series, I think. I'm very sorry. Again, one last thing that you need to bind, that you can bind. It's not necessary, but I really like to have it. You need to... I have bound the WASD keys to move around on my D-pad on the controller, so that moving with the D-pad in-game allows me to move in fixed direction. It's really useful for some setups. There we go. So that was the last thing. So if you want to test things out, sorry, you so you use all the items, you roll what I told already. You can test that you can move with the D-pad. You can test that if you press whatever key you bound to item 1 and item 2, while those two are equipped, so the ice dagger and the fire rod, it shoots a ice projectile. There you go, that I have it set up well. And if I press whatever key I have bound on roll and item 3, while having the sword equipped, I'm gonna do a little like special attack there. And if you have this working properly, then you have everything set up. And you should be able to start doing the run, which is gonna be my next video. Have fun, everyone.